This is a very interesting video because it's all footage that is a year old from when I built Chase Box Mustang. That was like the reason that I stayed away from Pennsylvania. I went out there, ended up staying a little longer than I thought I was going to because my truck broke. And then he was like, hey, I want to turbo my car. Do you want to turbo my car? So I did. And I stayed there for that. So this car was like the hook that kept me from going back, which I was happy to take because I didn't want to go back. And I filmed a lot of it that I totally forgot about. So I made this video to show you guys the progression of Chase's car from, when I first tore the procharger off to the first time it goes to the track. It's a little spotty. I filled in some commentary like this and, a little bit of reflections on it because this is a kind of a pivotal moment for me. And it's pretty cool to look back on. So I'm glad I filmed it, and I'm glad that I get to show it to you guys now. Also, take note how weird I am back then. I'm not really as comfortable talking to the camera, and if anything, you should pull from this is that no one is good at it when they start doing it, because you'll be able to see how terrible and awkward I am here. Everybody's like that. It's just, I filmed that for my YouTube channel back then and never did anything with it. Back then I had 1,000 subscribers. So I did it. You could do it too. Just do stuff. What is going on here? Well, this is the first turbo build that I'll be doing outside of the Escalade because that was my very first one. And it is Chase Box car from formerly 1320, currently Street Car Takeover. We're about to tear it apart. It's gonna be a good one. First job here in Oklahoma City. A little far from home. I don't know, say whatever you want to say. What's going on here, Dad?
Well, we're here at Shelby Killer Performance with the 2019 Street Car Takeover Mustang. We had an awesome season with it this year. It is actually the fastest pro-charged S550 in the world right now, as far as we know. We checked all the lists and everything, and comes up that it is. So we went a best of 896 at 156 miles an hour, but now we want to step it up for next season. Even though we've had huge success with the procharger, we just want to go way big on the car. So we're getting ready to put a build motor in it. Mitchell's going to do a custom twin turbo kit here at Shelby Killer Performance on the car. And we're doing big 6673s and air to water, still running nitrous outlet on the car. This car, if anybody knows me, they know I love nitrous, so we will keep nitrous on the car because we like to party.
So this thing was a completely functional pro-charged car when I started this build. I had to tear it all down, and I'm kind of going to be narrating, filling this in as I go because all this footage is over a year old at this point, about a year old. So day one is complete. Now I'm done for the night. I got all this torn apart. Procharger kit is off. I got to use custom turbo mounts here, courtesy of Brawny, John Cena or something like that. I don't know. Basically what's going on here is all of that crap is there because it's going to get pulled around and the ECM and fuse box is going to get relocated to here where the battery was. The battery is going to go in the trunk. So essentially what we have right here is about all you're going to see, except for a charge pipe up the middle, because right now my plan is to do this very similarly to the Escalade, where the exhaust will run out. I'll cut all this out. It'll run out, sneak up through the fender here, come down. Chase, aka Dad, wants teardrops right here. I think it would be really cool to put the exhaust whole way out the back just because we can, and you would not see it at all. Charge pipes will come around and do whatever the heck's going on with the intercooler yet. Haven't really decided. Gonna be a pretty clean, pretty simple setup. Well, we'll open it.
What?
Open it.
I'm opening it.
God.
I'm trying. Oh, I need a knife.
You ever opened a box before?
No, not really. I'm just so excited. It's like
just tear it up.
It's like Christmas. It's like Christmas.
What's in there?
I don't know. Ooh. Ooh. You know what that is? This is what those SRT4 neon guys put on their cars. Bet these are probably wastegates?
Be careful.
I'm certified to use a razor blade, it's fine. It's just dad stuff, you know. Ooh. Ooh. We got two of each, made right here in the US of A.
So we're gonna put all these in there, right?
Every single one of them.
All of them.
Every single one of them. We're just gonna pile them on top of each other. Kind of makes it more real now that everything's starting to show up. And then Doug at Bush Raceworks, shout out to them. We appreciate them. They've helped us on a lot of stuff. Apparently he didn't want me to open this box ever. My guess is he sent us a box of Gushers, and the rest of the stuff will be coming later. There's no Gushers here in here. I'm gonna be upset.
Oh, you got a hat too. Oh, that's a good one.
Got me a super sweet hat.
The Richardson.
Cool.
What's in here? Twin CO2.
Did we really not get any Gushers? I mean, hats are cool, but Gushers are so much better. How I feel about this box.
This is a turbo kit. Some assembly required.
Yeah.
This clip doesn't really pertain to the build, but it's interesting because that's my old trailer, which was Chase's old trailer. I lived in that trailer from the time I got to OKC until May. And what you're looking at now is us backing it in next to the building where I was at while I built this car. And that truck and trailer is what I ended up selling to buy this Newell that I'm sitting here editing this video in right now. So this experience and process moving it over there is what laid the groundwork for like the life and situation that I'm in right now. So it's pretty cool to see all this footage again for the first time in a year. I have started to make the jig that's going to hold the turbos up while I connect them to the manifolds. Excuse my forehead, I got bit by a mosquito on my forehead, which is cool. So basically how this is gonna work is I'm going to affix this bar to the core support about here. It'll be solidly mounted. And then I'm going to take this angle iron here, cut a piece off of it that will overhang and kind of latch onto here like that. So I can slide it this way, I'll have some room to slide it that way. And there will be a hole in here with a pole that screws into here that'll hang the turbo. So I'll be able to move it anywhere I want. And I will start with the hard side first. That is super important. Take the side that has the most stuff going on with the least amount of room to work with, and you set that up first. Because you set that up, get it where it needs to be, and then go to the other side and make it the same. When you're on the harder side, you can adjust your bracket wherever you want, make sure it's all good and it's gonna work everywhere. And then what I'll do is I'll tack weld it in place there, and then I'll tack the pole to the piece that's hanging over. So it's late, I can't think of words right now. But then it'll be solidly fixed, and I'll do the same on the other side and measure it 1,000 different ways to make sure it's all good. Then the turbos are mounted in place where they need to be, and then I can move on to connecting A to B, engine, manifold, end to turbine inlet. And then once that's all finished welded, this jig will come off and the turbos are hung up, ready to go, and it'll be time for charge pipes. Hanging jig's starting to come together. Dugan's deep in thought. So now what I gotta do is drill a hole in the approximate location where I want this. Maybe a couple, because I have some adjustment this way and that way, and I can go side to side. But this is what's gonna get the turbos set up where I want them. Once this is figured out, we are going to take the long tubes out and put the turbo header manifold thingies in there. And he has to help me with that because I don't know my ass from my elbow when it comes to taking these things out. And this guy does, so.
What's up, Mitchell? What are you doing?
We just witnessed the inaugural hanging. Pretty much how they're gonna go. Still gotta go in here. This is roughly where I wanna put them, but I wanna move them in a little bit more. So I gotta cut this out, bring them that way a bit. It'll give us some more room. The first rough mock-up, official rough mock-up, if you don't count the paper towel, the first rough mock-up, but you gotta build it before you build it, before you build it. This jig came out really nice. And once these are all
butter welds.
I didn't even clean the mill scale off of this. I should have. I didn't know you were gonna zoom in on it. Once this is all in, this will be tacked in place, all of it. So it could be bolted to any car, any S550. Do all the S550s have the same core support?
I believe so, yeah.
If that's the case, then yeah, this will work from 15 to current. But this is a pretty universal deal.
Yeah, it looks really good.
These are like the on 3 manifolds, and I'm just gonna modify them to work with these different turbos in the new position. So we're gonna throw them in this little death machine here, chop this part off on the weld. So I already did this one. Gotta clean this up still, and then we will put them back in the car, and I'll build the turbos in from there. So it's come to my attention that I need to wear these.
Absolutely.
Why do I have to wear these glasses?
Your brother's ex-girlfriend's sister, her brother lost an eye from that.
Oh yeah, so just to spare all the comments, just wear your eyeglasses, bro. I'm just gonna, you know, here they are.
They're beautiful.
Wow, look at that. Nothing gets through.
Safe as heck.
Trying to line this up so I can cut it straight, which is not as easy as it sounds. There's no good way to clamp this. Wait for somebody to be like, that's not the right way to do that. I know it's not the right way, but it's gonna work. Still see with two eyes. We gotta come over here and clean up all that crap on there. You ever heard of the rock test?
No, what's the rock
The
test?
rock test is, well, whenever you cut that, not so much when you use that because it usually cuts pretty flat, but if you use a freehand bandsaw, it won't be perfectly flat. So you gotta come on here and square it up to make sure it's all good, because you can't have any gaps when you weld stainless. Put on something that you know is flat, and if it rocks, it's not square. And this appears to be pretty dang good. And also, as a bonus, whenever you square it up like that, you take it down a little bit, and then the inside crud usually gets to the point where you just pull it out. I'm gonna film my own death here. Just tap it in. Just tap it in. I don't know if I can do this one-handed. Oh wait, there we go. Hey. Starting to make some more progress here. Saturday night, about 11 o'clock. I got the fenders hogged out. That's just a rough cut. I'm gonna go in there and clean it up later. But the engine's gonna come out and clean that up, and the engine bay is gonna get painted black too, so I'm not worried about that right now. I just gotta make the pipes under a time constraint. Jig's finished. Had to put these little feet on here to keep it from rotating when the turbos were hanging. Turbos are mocked up, tacked into position, and I've been working on the connection pipe here, which I just sorted out. But I'm gonna show you a little tip here, how I do it to hold my tube and tack it. I just cut a little slice out of the tape here, put a little tack, and then I'll go to the other side and do the same thing. That way you don't have to worry about fiddling with it with your hands. This is just kind of a quick way to hold it together when you don't have, you know, any extra hands to do it. Because if you tack it on one side without being held on the other, when it cools, it'll separate because it'll shrink. And this keeps it from doing that. It works pretty well how I do it, because I'm always by myself when I'm doing it. Yeah, there's a major timeline gap here from where you're about to see to where this is about to catch back up, because Chase wanted this car done for the SCT OKC race, and we were not on track to make it. As far as the whole fab stuff goes, this was the second time I had ever built a turbo car, and it was a year removed from the last time I had done it, so I kind of had to, like, you know, relearn everything, like get warmed back up to it, in addition to doing it in an environment that I was not familiar with or like comfortable working in. It was just really weird. I don't know if you notice, just throughout the whole video, I'm really quiet. I don't talk a whole lot. I was the new fish in the tank then. I didn't know those guys that well. I just wasn't comfortable, so I was kind of just shelled up and not really, you know, I wasn't me. Because of that, I was, you know, trying to get everything figured out, and it was taking me longer than it should have to do it because I was having to relearn it. But we had this time constraint. So in order for me to get it done when it needed to be done, I had to only do that. So I didn't really film anything during that part of the process, which kind of stinks, but got the car done. I built most of that car in 2 weeks, of like the turbo kit anyways, in 2 weeks. I did my part of the turbo kit, and then Dugan did all like the finished stuff. The bulk of what I did was in that 2 week box, and then it was a week of everything else before the event, which Chase didn't even race that anyway, so I'm not sure why we rushed it so much, but that's just how it went. So here's the first fire up. Down. Back with another crappy rev cam fill-in, but we're about to put on the dyno for the very first time after that week-long thrash of finish doing everything. It goes on the dyno the day before SCT OKC, like literally the night meet at Twin Peaks is happening while we're doing this, and I'm super pumped because I'm like, yeah, we did it, like we're gonna make it, because no one really thought we were gonna do it. I'll reflect a little bit on this more, but I learned so much building this car, just like about myself, that it was just, you know, it was one of those experiences that I needed to have, and was a big piece in what I'm doing today. So when we get on the dyno, John Lund's behind the keyboard remotely. Just check this out. It's cool. Handful of rips on the dyno. The thing's cranking out over 1100 at the tire, which is, it's made I think 1380 or something like that to this point. But you know, first couple hours that it was running, it just did that, and I'm sitting there thinking like a huge weight was lifted off my shoulders, because that was the second car I'd ever done. The first one was the Escalade, and it came out great, but there was always that little seed in the back of my mind, like, did I get lucky when I did that? Like, can I do it again? Can I back this up? My one-hit wonder? All those thoughts were in my head the whole time I was doing this car, because, yeah, I put all my effort into the Escalade, and it does its job. It is freaking awesome, but I really found out what I was capable of when I was able to do it again in a hard environment that I wasn't familiar with, feeling like out of place. And on top of that, my trailer got messed up. Like, my shower drain was leaking. I had to rip it apart. So, like, after the bulk of building this car, I was living in Chase's RV inside the building about 10 feet from where I was working on the car. So I, like, never saw the sun, okay? I'd wake up at, like, 9:30 in the morning, and I'd fall back asleep because it was pitch black outside, because nobody was in the shop yet. No one shows up until, like, 11:30 anyway, which is, like, the weirdest thing. So I never, like, saw, you know, you're, like, not correct whenever you wake up and it's dark outside. So it was just screwing with my head. I was kind of doing like the whole quarantine thing before it was even a thing. It was really weird. It was just, that was one of the where the rubber meets the road kind of situations for me, where I had to find out what I was capable of doing and being. It was, you know, and to see it do that on the dyno, and, you know, a couple weeks later we went to a track rental and it went, you know, 850, its second pass off the trailer. And I'm just like, we did it. This is cool. And I felt way better about myself afterwards. So now we're just, we're going to drive around, get some cat food, whatever, like just, you know, normal car stuff. Maiden boy's going to get some cat food. Cat food!
All right, cat food.
Where's the cat food?
Walmart. You know,
Cool.
the only place they sell cat food at midnight.
Oh, what the heck? It's one of them peasant screens.
Well, yeah, it's a base model, bro. got more money into the build than I do in the car.
Got the cat food.
Yep.
Fire up the minivan.
You're gonna have to hold this though.
The cat food?
Yeah.
I guess I gotta hold these waffles and peanut butter. You got air and water in your trunk.
Air water's not quite finished up yet. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Put this away and get money in.
Alright, give me the cat food. Oh. Oh. Cat food. .857 at 163.